Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to say call hello, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Rakah, Kodash. We send double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone. Send much peace, love, and salutations to Yakim out there pushing the word of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, sincerity and truth. This is Brother Ariella, and this is another path to the Motb. And, this is a topic that we've discussed. I was talking about this the other day with Required Quam and also different brothers in the camp, how when it comes to the perspective of geopolitics, geoeconomics, no one gives a better perspective than the men of the Lord, the prophets. Those are the only people that are be able to take what you're seeing out here, filter it through the prophecies to give people a clear understanding of what's going down. And one of the many things that we like to tell everybody is that when it comes to the global economic system, both sides that are set to fight each other in Armageddon or headed towards the same path of the Motb, because their governments and their economies are ran by Edomite elites. Whether you want to talk about Russia, China, India, Iran, Saudi Arabia, the U.S., and the EU, the elites are molding the talking points of what these different top-level institutions and corporations are doing. And so I did this lesson a little while back, 2 years ago, and I called it "BRICS Expansion: Two Sides of the Same Coin of Destruction." Well, when we want to talk about technology and everything that we see when it comes to Revelation, the 13th chapter, mentioning the mark of the beast, the Motb, right? And what it will take as far as AI, the digital systems, CBDCs, all these different components that it will take to fulfill that prophecy. All the nations of the world are headed in that same direction. And brother sent me this. I wanted to play this clip, but this is just something that we're headlining. That's why judgment is going to come down on all these nations, bro. They're all linked in this system. They've all drank of the wine of the wrath of fornication, So the Most High has got to prepare judgment for all of them. He's going to put it in the minds of the kings of the earth to fight over who's going to control it. Here in Isaiah 34:1 says, "Come near, ye nations, to hear and hearken, ye people. Let the earth hear and all that is therein, the world and all things that come forth of it. For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies. He hath utterly destroyed them. He hath delivered them to the slaughter." You see, their slain also shall be cast out. Their stink shall come up out of their carcasses, and the mountain shall be melted with their blood. So the Most High is preparing an ultimate impending doom on all these heathen nations, because they all are compelled with this Babylonish mindset. All right, and so the Most High is gonna set to take them out. I'm gonna play this,
which is a real indicator. Something's been happening in Russia that hasn't been much discussed in the mainstream news, but which is a real indicator.
And I got it on 1.25 speed.
We should be paying attention to, because really, this is going to be a crucial element affecting your reality, probably, in the near-term future. When we look at the authoritarian major power in the world, China, we are used to the fact that it has been introducing an advanced digital surveillance system that it uses to control internet usage very strictly and monitor its citizens and so on. We might also be vaguely aware that it has been selling some bits of that technology to other countries that have an interest in some element of it.
And not only do they sell it to them, it's within their economic packages. See, China does the same thing that the West does. You have the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank. When these nations go and take loans from China, and these big top-level economic packages come with deals that they have to comply with. And it does include, you're going to have to buy our chips. You're going to have to incorporate this into your economy and this into your industries. The United States and the West do the same thing on the other side. All right. So the model that we see, the framework of it, a lot of it is based out of China. Now, the United States and the West are using, we got to catch up to the East. We got to catch up to China. We can't let China beat us. as a reasoning to spearhead and move forward at lightning pace. That's why you see Trump, once he got in office, everything that he does is totalitarian, and everything they say that they hate China for. They're not following the democratic process of getting stuff done. They're just doing executive orders, setting this up, clamping down on free speech, doing all that type of stuff. They're incorporating AI, using CBDCs. They just call it a stable coin. I did a lesson on how it's the same thing. All these things, man. Okay? They're all doing the same damn thing. So that judgment has to come.
But we have another authoritarian leader in Putin's Russia, where we've seen little of that recently. Much more.
And it's funny how this dude is saying he's using buzz terms like authoritarian leader, as if as if Trump is not acting as an authoritarian leader here in the States, or you like Australia. It's just ridiculous. None of these people are different.
Or old school Soviet style authoritarianism. And we have a growing level of autocracy in the United States, of course, and a number of copycat MAGA would-be authoritarians in Europe, with no real idea yet how that will begin to express itself in terms of the technology. Well, Russia is now...
We do have an idea of how it's going to express itself in terms of the technology. It talks about it in Revelation, the 13th chapter. Okay? We literally go over the scripture every week. And he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, that they shall receive a mark in his right hand or his forehead. Right? That no man shall be able to buy or sell save he have that mark. And whoever don't get that mark, they be killed. This is where they're going with it. China and Russia and the East, they are just laying down a blueprint for the West to chase. And they're going to say, in order for us to beat authoritarianism, we have to be able to match their technology. Look what's happening. This is for your safety. This is for your convenience. This is for your health. They're going to use all of those things. We know exactly where it's going. They're showing you. They're telling you in your face, actually.
And catching up. It's worth us noting what that looks like. In terms of the technology, well, Russia is now catching up. It's worth us noting what that looks like. Russia has mandated that its state-backed messaging app, Max, now comes pre-installed on all phones, tablets and smart TVs sold in Russia. The aim is to replace foreign messaging services such as WhatsApp and Telegram. The introduction of Max has come along.
They're doing the same thing here in the United States against TikTok. Okay? And I wouldn't be surprised if they come with some type of a MAGA app or some type of app that's safe, that's not hacked by foreigners, right?
Alongside disruptions to those services. Last month, a state regulator said it was partially blocking calls on such apps to, quote, combat fraud, extortion and terrorism.
Same thing the United States and the West be saying. Nothing different. Two sides of the same coin, like I've been saying.
Which, as we know, are terms that have very expansive meanings in the authoritarian-approved dictionary. The Kremlin was reported to have ordered officials and lawmakers to migrate their Telegram channels to Max. A State Duma deputy warned that WhatsApp should prepare to leave the Russian market. This is seen as part of a process of tightening state control over the internet, all those free thinkers with their large audiences on Telegram, and all those apps with end-to-end encryption. And indeed, it's just the first part of a three-tier approach. On top of state-approved internet communication platforms, you also have AI-powered censorship and, most insidious of all, targeted tracking systems.
Now, they're already using limited AI tracking censorship on all these platforms, whether it's X, whether it's YouTube, whether it's TikTok, whether it's WhatsApp. You best believe that AI is monitoring all the conversations that you're having on all of these. So Telegram, okay, they're just going to ramp it up. When more and more terrorism, more and more domestic terrorism happens, within these different nations, they're just going to utilize that to come down more swiftly. Like we read about Revelation, the 12th chapter, because he knows he have but a short time. Okay. They're moving on this thing.
For the population. As Masho Lomashvili and Natalia Antaleva put it on Coda, the system is no longer about just restricting information, it's about creating a digital ecosystem where every click, conversation, and movement can be monitored, analysed, and controlled by the state. First of all, we should understand that Max for software is not just a messenger substitute. It's more akin to China's WeChat, not just for chatting with friends or posting to groups, but an essential component in living your life, used to access government services, used to be able to sign documents electronically and to make payments. Basically, a monopoly on everything to enable your digital life.
Now, WeChat, we've done lessons on WeChat showing you the capabilities that they have when it comes to consolidating information and making it to where you have to use this in order to live. WeChat is absolutely like that. You cannot function in China without WeChat, even if you're a tourist. Everything goes through that portal. So you can't ride the train, buy things, pay bills. You know, you have to upload your passport to verify yourself. Everything that you would need to live day-to-day life is through the WeChat, and it's fully monitored and censored. And you do have social scoring on WeChat. So if you do something that the government does not like, you can be restricted from travel. You can have your bank account frozen. You can, have your licenses suspended. Okay? If you break their social credit rules. You ain't going to be able to go and look at X and look at titties on X. Talk shit about the government. None of that. You get hit with the big All right. So now these are, because everybody's got their phone on them. But soon they're going to want it in you. And they're already playing around with the ability for them to put it inside you and for you to totally interact with their AI digital world. And this sounds far out, but it's actually happening already. All right. And the technology is pretty much ready to go. Okay. They're very, very close.
Just without that pesky privacy and encryption. Because, of course, if you've got nothing to hide, then you'd have no need to keep any secrets from the famously tolerant and indulgent Russian authorities. Not only is Max unencrypted, but users have been noting that it snatches unauthorized access to cameras on your device. Users have reported that the app turns on their cameras every 5 to 10 minutes. Then there is another app called the Amina app. Foreign workers from 9 countries for now, including Ukraine, India, Pakistan, Egypt, are required by law to install Amina so it can constantly transmit their location to the Ministry of Internal Affairs. If the Amina app doesn't receive location data for 3 days, the individuals concerned automatically get added to a controlled persons registry, making them effectively third-class citizens, not able to access banking or marriage or property ownership or to enroll their children in schools. Is this Chinese technology inspired by the biggest digital authoritarian on the planet? Possibly. But then it could equally have been inspired by the Trump administration, which, thanks to Peter Thiel's Palantir, is already rolling out something very similar. Palantir's Immigration OS offers near real-time tracking of individuals. The app is supposed to streamline the end-to-end immigration lifecycle from identification to removal. It gathers biographical and biometric data from government databases to identify immigrants who should be targeted.
So now they'll have it to where when foreigners cross over into the country, they're going to have to go through this application process. They're going to have to already have this stuff set up to even get in. To where your track trace, they'll get your facial biometrics, they'll get probably your finger biometrics. Like I said, soon you're just gonna have a chip. And we all know about Palantir. They're looking at know all, see all, and do all. That's why the name is Palantir. We did a lesson on that. Going into that word Palantir and its history from the Lord of the Rings. The Palatine stones and how they allow you to see and view into everything. They want to know all and see all right? They want to control every aspect of traffic. Scriptures talk about that, talking about the Prince of Tyrus, all right? Let's see, Ezekiel 28 And 2 says, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, thus saith the Lord power, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a God, I sit in the seat of God, I am in the midst of the seas, yet thou art a man and not the Most High, though thou set thy heart as the heart of the Most High. Right? Because thou art wiser than Daniel, there is no secret that they can hide from thee. See? With thy wisdom and with thine understanding, thou hast gotten thee riches and hast gotten gold and silver into thy treasures. By thy great wisdom and by thy traffic, as thou increase thy riches, and thine heart is lifted up because of thy riches. See? So now that their heart is lifted up, they're proud because of the resources that they've been able to accumulate. And the main thing that they're showing you now is their power to be able to surveil, all right, and control. And they'll be able to control all aspects of resources, including human resources. We're seeing this. We're watching this happen. And it's happening. It's cascading. It's more quickly. All right? So he's showing you these Russian and Chinese operations, but he's showing you how the United States is doing the same thing. And we've been telling you this, that everybody's trending towards the crescendo is towards the same thing. It's towards the same thing. Okay? They're all leading in the same direction. Okay? The word crescendo. Crescendo, a gradual increasing in force or loudness. Right? From the Italian crescendo, increasing. To increase. So we're growing, we're increasing. Right? It's becoming the Motb is becoming more loud, more apparent. Right? Yeah, that does remind you of a crescent moon that's growing into a full moon. Right? We're increasing, we're growing into what? To where you'll have an implantable chip in you. And it will govern every aspect of your working, living life. Buying and selling is the key aspect of you being able to take care of things. All right? Go without spending any money for a week. Don't spend a nickel. And see how that affects your life. Go without buying or selling anything for a week. And so when you control that aspect of being able to, do what you need to do, you're affecting people's whole lives. Okay? And all of these nations, or these heathen nations, are complicit. Yeah, though, they'll show you in the news, China, we got to fight it back against the imperialistic, communistic, socialistic China, the dictator of Putin. They're evil. But economically, they're all doing the same damn Edomite shit. Because they're all underneath that umbrella. Okay? They're all underneath that umbrella. I'll pull that in a second.
It grouped people according to different categories, such as their origin, their point of entry into the country, their residency permit status, identifying features, hair and eye colour, license plate numbers, scars and tattoos. Amnesty International described the app as alarming for the human rights of immigrants and people seeking safety in the United States. Ricard Martinez of the University of Valencia said that it is a methodology of total...
So they're going to say, but what about the American safety? You disregard American safety for the immigrant safety. They're coming in here, they're raping our white women. They're committing all types of felonies and crimes. We need to be able to identify these people.
Social control to maximise the efficiency of immigration agencies in deporting immigrants. And he said this: it is simply abhorrent because it strips human beings of all dignity and all rights. The goal is to have absolute control over a certain category of people and completely curtail their freedom. He also had a dim view of the app developer Palantir, saying this: Palantir is ideologically aligned with the Trump administration and its ethics favour totalitarianism. History tends to suggest that what becomes normalised for one group becomes much easier to then be applied to other groups in the future. So, something to look forward to. Back to Russia, this sort of surveillance has gone as far as the country's intelligence service, the FSB, which demanded access to Yandex's Aliso smart home system, the Russian equivalent of Alexa. The company pushed back, although it's hard to see how long it can resist such pressure in Putin's Russia. With Americans now getting used to using AI apps like ChatGPT for therapy, for mentorship, for planning, you name it, you can see what a treasure trove that would ultimately represent for malign forces, once you get to the point where guardrails have been wholly overcome. The other part in Russia, the censorship of books and the internet and speech. Russia used to use human moderators to do all that. Obviously, that's very 20th century technology. One publishing industry source told the Medusa website, "We've always assumed that the censors and the people who report books don't actually read them, but neural networks do. So now it's a war against the AIs, how to craft a book so the algorithm can't flag it, but readers still get the message. Perhaps this will become the new Turing test for our times." The programme in action was perhaps illustrated by the police raid in May of the office and employee homes of Russia's largest publishing group, Exmo-Ast. The raid was in connection with what was described as LGBTQ extremism. Surely not the sort of thing that, for example, the Trump administration would ever consider doing. You might ask, well, can't users just use a VPN?
And they understand we can't have all of these transformers and freaks and faggots, okay, in our country, because we getting ready for war, man. They already understand that. So they're going to use AI to track down you blue-haired, pink-haired, purple-haired weirdos. Get them out of here. Get them out of here. Okay? And that's why you see now with this whole Captain Kirk situation and Christian nationalism, they're going to be pushing that heavy. All right?
VPN, a virtual private network, to get past any of this. Because after all, famously, that's what people in China have done in the past. And no, this is not segueing into a sponsorship pitch, by the way. Well, if your devices have the government built in from the start, that may prove more difficult to do. The Russian government reportedly has a 96% efficiency target in restricting access to VPNs. And new laws have been brought in to make VPN usage an aggravating factor in criminal cases. Such laws also criminalise, quote, knowingly searching for extremist materials online. Again, we know how expansive a definition the word extremist has in the autocrat's dictionary. So all of this matters because China built its internet infrastructure already with authoritarian control and censorship in mind, whereas what Russia is doing is providing a vision of how such a system gets bolted on to a pre-existing system that was developed more organically with private actors and initially meeting demand rather than following any kind of a central plan. Almost all countries.
You see how this is being built so it can be given to the West? It's all psychological. It's all the hit games.
Countries that transition from democracy to autocracy or from manual autocracy to digital will have to follow a similar path. The US, with its pre-existing guarantees, its powerful private tech companies, some of which at least still care about such issues, has more obstacles to overcome than many. But then, while it may not easily be able to force intrusive surveillance on everybody, as a matter of course, they certainly have the ability to target intrusiveness onto anyone they deem a threat. Worth noting that the Trump administration has reactivated an ICE contract for spyware from Paragon. You might remember Paragon is the...
And so now, conveniently, there's been an attack in Dallas on an ICE facility. What do you think that's going to allow them to do? Expand more control, expand more surveillance. Say we need to protect our officers. Utilize this to do what they need to do. They use disorder and chaos in order to bring in what they want. And this model is the model that they've been setting up with Asia. Who do you think has been partnering with Asia for all of these decades? The United States, the West. Very, very, very close and in ties economically, man. All right. 2nd Ezra chapter 15, verse 46, in the GNT, you, Asia, are to be pitied. You are doomed. You have enjoyed the splendor and glory of Babylon. You have imitated her and dressed up your daughters to look like prostitutes to please and gratify your lovers, who have always lusted for you. because you have imitated that vile prostitute, that whore that rideth upon the beast that you read about in Revelation, the 17th chapter. That's America. In everything she has done or planned, the Most High has this to say: I will send disasters upon you. I will make you a widow and send poverty, famine, war, and epidemics to destroy your homes and bring ruin and death. The power of which you boast will wither like a flower when the burning heat is sent upon you. It's the same thing that's supposed to happen to Moab. We read about these same scriptures when you read in Jeremiah, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51. About Moab going down, then you read about Babylon going down, and what's mingled in between Edom, Esau. This is what's set to come. They're all headed towards the same Motb system, and it's setting them up to be destroyed, all right, by the Heavenly Father. Verse 51, you will be a wretched, weak woman, so bruised, beaten, and wounded that you will no longer attract your wealthy lovers. All right? See? So the Most High is got a hit out on these people, man. You best believe that it's going to go down. All right? You best believe that it's about to pop off, But, I saw this clip brothers had sent it a couple days ago, and I was just like, yep, this is what we've been saying this whole time. It's two sides of the same coin. All these nations are completely complicit to crescendoing. I think that's probably why I call this, path to the Motb, the crescendo, right? They're all increasing and growing towards the Motb. You can talk about the war in Ukraine, the war in Gaza, this, that. All of these nations are preparing to go fully digital and implement the Motb. Okay, so Lord willing, this is edifying, man. What I'm gonna say is, man, once again, call hello Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Shem Rakar Kodash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, bishops, great millstone. Much peace, love, salutation to y'all. I came out there pushing the word of Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai, sincerely and true. Shalom.